there. So I think that's good. So we're out on Facebook, and we'll just give our final thoughts here. Arun, any final thoughts before we let you go?
No, not really. Just looking forward to the NBA trade deadline, and hopefully the Wizards aren't too good in two next year either, because that's when Cooper Flag comes out. So hopefully they tank this year. They can win as many games as they want this year. Next year is the year to tank.
Sounds good. All right. Well,
Timing's
thank you,
everything.
Arun, for joining us. And I guess we'll probably, if I'm thinking about it, this might be like the seventh Super Bowl we've recapped together when we convene on the other side of this break. So I look forward to talking to you about that.
Sure. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I'm going to give Champ his no spots segment. We were running a little bit long on the audio podcast. I just felt like I wanted to give it the time it deserves, but I didn't want it to be too long of an audio podcast. But Champ,
Yeah,
let people know. I know that you have a lot to talk about with the
yeah.
with this, and I'm actually happy that Jesse is on too, since he also watched the Royal Rumble, which is always a very interesting matchup. There was a fatal four way and the Royal Rumble itself for the men's and the women's. Give people a little taste of what I'm sure you'll talk a lot more in depth about on the next podcast. And then, or did you talk about it this week's podcast? I know you did a live react.
Yeah, so we will be talking about the Royal Rumble this coming weekend on the podcast of Cody Rhodes and Bayley winning their respective Royal Rumble matches, as well as Roman Reigns retaining the Undisputed Universal Championship and Logan Paul retaining the U.S. Championship via disqualification. So we will talk about that, as well as the fact that CM Punk during that Royal Rumble match suffered another torn tricep muscle, and it looks like he's going to be out for half the year because of that injury. So we'll talk about all of that and more coming up, as well as the fact that Kazuchika Okada, his contract officially ends with New Japan in a couple of days, and there's still no decision on where he is going to land once he is done with his New Japan commitments on February the 24th. So we'll keep an eye on that as well and everything like that. So make sure you check out twitch.tv/true no spots pod. We will be live stream. We will be streaming the podcast on Saturday because we have a live reactions to NXT Vengeance Day on Sunday, and it'll be NXT's first premium live event of the year, and they will have a pretty stacked card. So we'll be talking about all of that this weekend. So make sure, again, twitch.tv/true no spots pod, and make sure you check out the podcast partners button on sportsothp.com.
Yeah, we got Coffee Talk joining the chat. He says he wants to put me in a steel cage match with him, which I would have a major size disadvantage. So I definitely don't want to do that. But I appreciate you for tuning in, Coff. And I mod over at Coffee's stream. A lot of people I mod for have showed up today, and I really want to thank them. We got the stream scribe has been in here. We've also earlier on we have that E flat guy who's been in stream. We've got Andy. I also mod for Champ and Kalaska and Ant Dog. So a lot of people I mod for across Twitch have showed up today. And
Aren't you a mod for me, Robbie?
I think I actually am. I
But
very
I haven't had an episode in like I don't know, at least 2 years. So
yeah.
Two.
You know what's funny is I think hold on, it does it by order of
Come back.
last. Yep, the Leon I am a mod for. I see it in my mod chat icon.
that
So
is so
I
funny.
am. That's so funny. But yeah, so I appreciate everyone for tuning in and being a part of it, and the gift subs earlier, that was awesome. And Jesse, real quickly, do you have any thoughts on the wrestling? Because I don't usually get a second person's take on it, but what are your thoughts on?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, shout out to Bailey, because like I said, it was probably about 5 years ago, 6 years ago when I kind of restarted watching it. And I know she's been putting in so much work, you know what I mean? And she's like a workhorse for the brand. And yeah, I was just so happy to see her. You could just see the elation on her face, and like it was awesome, man. It was awesome to see her. And then I kind of knew Cody was going to win it. I just kind of figured, he's got to get that second shot at Roman. And I was actually this was my prediction before it started. I thought The Rock was going to come in and interfere with Roman's match. have him lose the title so that they can have a match at WrestleMania without the title on the line. Because if they have a match at WrestleMania, and Roman's going to win because they're not going to give the title to The Rock, right? Because he's not going to be able to make any sort of long-term commitments.
I
I
don't
think
know. Did you hear the news? The Rock just got part own, he's now a managing, or what was it? On the board, right?
He's part of the board of directors for TKO.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but I'm just saying, as far as from a wrestling standpoint, I mean, I don't know if he can handle the ring.
He can't commit to a full-time schedule because not only is he a part of the board for TKO, but he is a owner of the UFL, the United
Exactly, yeah.
Football League, which merged with XFL and USFL. So he's got
And
that
he's the
going
highest
on.
paid actor and he's the highest paid actor in Hollywood. So
exactly,
yeah, he's not. Yeah, so but that was my prediction before it started. I was like, I wonder if that's going to happen. So that way they can just have a one-off match at WrestleMania. Everyone wants that match, right? At WrestleMania. But that's okay. Shout outs to Cody. I think he's going to end up winning at WrestleMania. And like I said, he's also been with the company. He grew up in as obviously Dusty Rhodes' son, so he grew up with the company. So yeah, I mean, yeah, he deserves it too. I know he's been a workhorse as well.
He's going to finish the story.
Yeah, I think so. But oh, and Logan Paul, man. I'm not a huge fan. I don't really know. I never really listened to his podcast. Never really watched his videos on YouTube or anything like that. But dude is an athlete. You know what I mean? He is an athlete. Some of the stuff he does in the ring, it's just crazy how he was able to pick it up so quickly. And boxing, and he just, he beat the shit out of Dylan Dennis. Come on, man, that you got to give mad respect to that dude. Dude is an athlete. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Logan Paul is one of the few celebrities that has come into the world of professional wrestling and has picked it up so quickly and has just adapted to it like a duck on water. And
It's crazy,
his matches that he's only had a few matches, but they have absolutely been highlight reel matches that he's had. And it's amazing to me to just think that this guy who has such a different audience from the pro wrestling game and has really brought that audience to the wrestling game, and it's crazy. So I really like the storyline that he's had with Kevin Owens. But even before the match they had at Royal Rumble, they had a really good story, and with that match ending with a disqualification, I really feel like this is going to culminate at WrestleMania in Philadelphia with those two, because you can't leave it unfinished like this. You cannot. Yeah. There's no way you leave it unfinished like this. So they're going to finish it at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And I think
they're going to tear the house down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're going to tear the house down because KO is obviously an amazing wrestler too.
Yeah, KO's been in the game for very long. He was one of those that came up through the indies. He paid his dues, went through the indies, then came through NXT, and now he's where he's at now. And I think that they're going to have a really amazing culmination of this rivalry at WrestleMania, and things like that. So
do you just have to have Peacock for the WrestleMania now? You don't have to pay for pay-per-view anymore. It's just
Peacock.
That's
amazing. But here's the thing, though, is that the deal that Netflix signed with WWE, if you were international, if you have Netflix, you get all the pay-per-views. Mm-hmm. Domestically, here in the United States, you get all your pay-per-views on Peacock, but internationally, you get them all on Netflix starting next year. And pretty soon,
Raw itself will just be live on Netflix, but everything else is
correct. Yeah. So basically, the deal with Netflix that was signed last week, Netflix will stream Raw live domestically as well as in Canada, the UK, and all of the major foreign markets. But internationally, they will also have NXT and SmackDown internationally, as well as premium live events. Whereas here in the United States, it's just Raw, whereas Peacock still has the premium live events. SmackDown next year will not even just next year, October, SmackDown will be on the USA Network and NXT will be on the CW Network. The other thing that where the shoe's going to drop is Raw. Their contract with USA Network ends in October of this year. They have nowhere to air Raw before their Netflix deal starts in January. So
You think they
they
take a
gotta
month off or no?
no, they gotta figure out where they're gonna air Raw before their deal with Netflix starts in January. So that's something
And
that
couldn't they just
myself
air it on Peacock though? Because I mean, they have such a good
that
deal.
is something that Sith actually brought up when we talked about on the podcast this past week is them airing it on Peacock because there's not a network out there that's gonna pay money to
I mean,
only air maybe 8, 9 episodes of
why
Raw
couldn't why
before.
couldn't USA just continue it? Then they just like decide.
I
I
don't
don't know.
know. That's something we're keeping an eye on. That's something we're keeping an eye on to see what they're going to do in October.
That'll be interesting. David, do
It
you have
will
any
be.
thoughts?
Not really, other than the idea that I would have. It's too bad that they couldn't figure out the synergy to just get it all on Peacock or get it all on Netflix. Like that would have probably made a lot more sense. But contracts kind of don't happen all at the same time, right? Like the contract for one series is going to be different from the contract from the other series, so it's not frequently when they all kind of line up together. So that's as much as I can really say.
Well, the Peacock contract ends in 2026, which will be over a year after they debut on Netflix. So anything can happen within that time. So it could come to a point where they decide in 2026 that they bring all of their content to Netflix. So
Right.
that's something we'll keep an eye on over
Cool.
the next year and a half.
It's interesting. It's so surprising. Obviously, there's some big news, with regarding to Vince McMahon, this week, and all the news that
Vince McMahon's a dirty old bastard.
yes, that's a good way to put it. And
He's a
All
dirty
those
old bastard.
all those dudes got dirt, man. Like who was
Yeah.
it? Dolan, James Dolan got some dirt now.
Jesse, I don't think you understand. Last Thursday, a former WWE employee filed a lawsuit against Vince McMahon for sex trafficking her
That's
to
crazy.
other WWE staff, John Laurinaitis, who's the former head of talent relations, and possibly using her as sexual bait for Brock Lesnar to re-sign in 2021.
That's crazy.
He is a dirty old
crazy.
bastard, and he had to resign in shame because of this.
Mhm.
Trust me, it's ugly right now.
Damn.
It's ugly.
yeah, it's just kind of crazy how this all goes down. But even with that, they're still able to get the $5 billion deal with Netflix done.
Yeah.
They're still at an all-time high with
right.
their ratings, and it's just sort of
I mean,
interesting. To,
Well,
luckily,
the
Luckily, The Rock is like kind of is helping out as far as like saving face. You know what I mean? Because everyone loves The Rock. There's nobody that hates him. You know what I mean?
well
So
here's
he's
well
kind of
here's
helping
the
saving
thing
face.
is that all the thing with Vince McMahon happened 2 days after the Netflix deal was announced and The Rock joining the TKO board was announced. So all this happened 2 days after. And then what was crazy was Slim Jim literally pulled they pulled their advertisement from the Royal Rumble when this came out, but then a day later when Vince McMahon resigned, they said, "Okay, we're back. We're in there. Y'all got he's out. We're good," because Vince McMahon's contract with being the executive chairman and being a part of the TKO board was he couldn't be fired. He can only leave via resignation, incapacitation, or death. And so he had to resign. Otherwise, they couldn't get rid of him.
Yeah.
That's nuts. All right. Well, with that, Jesse, I want to just ask you a quick question before I let you
Sure.
go. How
Absolutely.
everything going well with you, and any news that you want to share with any of your, I know you represent a lot of artists and stuff like that, and people may not that are watching may not remember you from a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Still, like I said, everyone, if you don't know, I'm a talent agent for Breakpoint Booking. I work with actually a lot of Twitch artists. I kind of jumped on like that once the pandemic started kind of slowing down a little bit. I have Nell Stahl, Raquel Lilly, Matt Walden, Nick Black on my roster. Harry Mack, who also streams on Twitch, is probably the biggest star that I have on my roster. That's funny. I see Thug Shells on here. I don't know if you guys knew who Thug Shells is. She's like a DJ from
I
Canada.
love Thug Shells.
Yeah, we kind of have a little like conversation going about possibly working with her.
Wonderful. I think she's an incredible up and coming great on Instagram. Got great personality. Does
Yeah,
great DJ sets, and I loved her. She did a wonderful set of just all this stuff off the dome. Just really great at
hmm
I think she's the whole package for sure.
yeah,
And just
yeah.
so that's a
Uh,
good shout. I hope that you get to work with her.
yeah, yeah. And then right now, I don't know if you guys remember Asher Roth. We kind of started working with him like a few months ago. We he did a little tour last year. He did his first round of shows in January. He's someone that like we're really excited about. So he's going on the road this year. So if you guys want to follow Breakpoint Booking, it's at Breakpoint BKNG, I think. I'll type it in the chat when I stop talking.
Yeah.
And then you can also follow my Instagram, Jesse.breakpoint. I always post everything, all the shows that I'm doing. But yeah, man, this is gonna be a huge year for our agency. Working with a lot of dope people. Like I said, we just kind of got into the stand-up comedy space last year, beginning of last year, and then we also do public speaking now too. Our next step, hopefully, is get some of that sports money.
Mm-hmm.
When we see these Shohei Ohtani contracts and the Mike Trout contracts, you know what I mean. But no, that's that later down the road. That's a whole nother animal. But I'm just kidding. But yeah, man. So yeah, we're really excited, and yeah, if you guys ever want to, shoot me a follow on Instagram.
Yeah.
Say what's up.
Shout out to Jesse following the No Spot Switch channel. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I gotta go check out some wrestling news.
Yeah, for
Oh, we
sure.
got you. We got you.
Yeah. Well, Jesse, we'll definitely have to make it that we don't do this once a year and get you back on. And I appreciate your time and being a part of this show tonight. And yeah, I hope the 49ers win and we get to do this again in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, man. Let me know. I know more than just football too, man. I'm a Heat fan. We're
Yeah.
on a 7-game losing streak, so I don't
Oh,
know
you're
if
a
I really
Heat
want to talk
fan.
about
For some reason, I thought you were a Lakers fan. I now remember that. Yeah. So
them.
you're a Heat fan.
I,
Interesting.
they're my Lakers are probably my second team.
Yeah, I think we once upon a time talked about them, but I don't know. But
Yeah,
but that's cool. The Heat are usually a rival of the Wizards, but I can't. No one's really, we're pretty terrible. So
yeah. Usually, you have to be kind of good to have like a
that's a
rivalry.
real rivalry. Exactly.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
gonna say.
No, I feel the same way, but it's it is what it is.
yeah.
So
Nah, for sure. Like we had the rivalry with the Niners and the Cowboys, and they
yeah,
both sucked for a long time. It was like, it's no one cares. Like you know what I
right.
mean. Obviously, I still hate them, but yeah, no one really cares about
Now they do.
it.
So it'll be interesting. Okay, one last question I have for you guys before I let you go, because I was going to bring it up on the show, but the show is running long. I had an interesting debate with somebody right before the show about the Taylor Swift thing being too big of a deal. That she's being shown too
Yeah.
much.
Mm-hmm.
I timed how much she was in on the thing. I think it was less than 80 seconds that she was actually on air in this last one.
Yeah.
And a 3 hour, football game. Definitely not during any of the important plays or anything. It was cutaways after her boyfriend did something exciting or, like a touchdown or a big play or whatever. Seems reasonable to me. It's bringing in a whole new audience to the NFL, which I am totally down for, especially because it lets girls bond with their dads, and I think that's a great thing as a girl dad myself, and so um, I'm all for it. Like I don't hate her, I don't hate her music, I don't understand the hate. I like Trav, I like his podcast. I mean, like I, I was a Ravens fan. I'm mad that they won, but when I put things aside, I'm happy it's him. He seems to do things the right way. Gives to charity. She gives to charity. There was a report that she gave $100 to everybody that was working the event anywhere near her that she had to put out because they had to use the service elevator because it'd be a mob scene if she goes down any normal pathway, right? So I think she does everything right, and it's not her fault that the network covers her, but like the social media onslaught against them,
Mm-hmm.
like and the narrative of that's become versus it being a rematch of the 2021. I'll go to you first, Ken. What are your thoughts on this?
Why are we not focusing on Simone Biles and Jonathan Owens?
Yeah,
That's what I want to know. Because Simone Biles is a known Olympic athlete who's married to an NFL player, but no one's talking about that. But
That's
we're
a
talking about
great
Taylor
point.
Swift and Travis Kelce. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm not. And here's the thing. I'm not that guy to play the race card. I'm not. I never do that because I've been with a Caucasian girl for almost 11 years. So I don't play the race card. I don't do that. But we're not talking about Simone Biles and Jonathan Owens as much as we're talking about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Yes, I get it. Taylor Swift is a well-known musical artist. Travis Kelce is an all-pro tight end, whereas Jonathan Owens is a little-known safety, and Simone Biles was in the Olympics. But I feel like Simone Biles' name is known just as much as Taylor Swift's name. So why are we not talking about her and her husband as opposed to Taylor and Travis, who are boyfriend and girlfriend? That's my question.
That's what Coffee Talk just said. You kind of answered your own question.
That's a
Taylor
really good
Swift.
question.
Taylor Swift is probably the biggest star
Yeah.
in the world right now. Whether you like it or not, I don't like her
I
music.
think
or
she's
I don't.
bigger
I just
than
I'm
football.
I'm
bigger than
indifferent.
sports.
Yeah, I'm
to
indifferent
be
to
fair.
her music or
fair.
whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, she is the biggest star, kind of in the world, regardless of music. So yeah,
Yeah.
that and then Kelsey is on his way to being the best tight end of all time. So that's why I think, obviously Simone Biles is a star too, but like that's why. And you got both of them
The
together.
greatest gymnast of all time,
Yeah,
actually.
Owens, he's fine. You know what I mean? He's a good player. He's not.
But here's my thing though is that one of the things I don't see on social media is PDA between Kelsey and Swift, whereas I see the PDA between Biles and Owens because it's there. That, like I said, this is just something that I have in my mind. I have no hate against Taylor Swift. I don't listen to her music because that's not my thing. I grew up listening to hip hop and soul and things like that. So I'm not gonna go out and seek Taylor Swift's music. I understand she's a megastar. I just wish that there was more of a focus on that kind of a romance when it comes to the NFL than this. That's just me.
Yeah,
That's
that
just
makes
me.
Yeah.
total sense.
I got you.
My whole point, I guess, in bringing this up is the amount that it just monopolizes the airways of the people that are the haters of them that just really are just so outraged that they're even discussed at all and how it's ruining the game. And it's for so little of the game. And I'm like, and so I just
They're weirdos. They're
I put
Yeah,
weirdos.
that's the
out on a
thing.
status. I said they were live. It was like 80 seconds. Are we really making this big of a deal about it? And they immediately blocked me. I was like, "You're
They
so
blocked you?
yeah." They blocked me on Facebook. I
Oh,
was
that's
like, I'm
absurd.
just pointing
That's
out that it
absurd.
was 80 seconds. That's all I said.
You know what, Robbie? Here's what it comes down to. The reason why people care this much about it is because they know who she is. Because they show fans all the time. They show owners all the time. They show other actors and actresses. They show The Rock all the time. Like, I don't see
Eminem.
much.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Eminem. Yeah.
Eminem, absolutely. Like, the difference is everybody knows who Taylor Swift is, and I think there's this idea. I don't want to get too deep into this because this is going to extend the show by an hour, so I don't want to do that. But the point is, because we all know who she is, she's a known quantity, and she's a big deal, as we've established. And I think people. I think there's this idea from some fans that they think that it's getting in the way of the game, but I don't see it that way. I agree with you. Number one, what is she even doing that's offensive? She's just being a fan. Like, she's just enjoying the game, cheering the
This
team.
is a cutaway every once in a while of her cheering.
It's
Like, I
not,
don't.
it's yeah. This idea that we can't escape kill, that is so overrated. It's not. It's ridiculous. Like, it's just stupid.
Yeah, they're making it seem like they're talking about her for 30 minutes of the 3 hours. It's not even close to that. If it's 2 minutes, it's probably more than that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm with you guys too. I
Yeah.
don't see a problem with it. Like I said, I'm all for getting more eyes on the game. I love football. Like I bleed football, so like I'm cool with more people watching the game. It's amazing that it took, she did that. Like It's cool to see. And you're right. Like they I think it's just because they do. Well, it's because Kelsey makes a lot of plays, so that's why they cut to her. So often is because he does make a lot of plays. I think that's kind of it. But like, um, I think what I do think though is like social media accounts are maybe the ones that are like they post about it all the time. You know what I mean? Like I
Mm-hmm.
follow
I just
NFL,
find
I
the
follow
haters are giving
ESPN.
them more oxygen than I feel like
Yeah,
the actual
and that's
network.
why you do it for clicks, right? So that's
Right.
why they're doing it because they're getting all these likes and these like comments. And yeah, if you go look at those comments on the pictures they have, all the comments are like, "Oh, why are you showing Taylor? Why are you showing Taylor?" Like you're giving them the fuel. They want your clicks. They want your likes. They get paid off of your likes and your clicks. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if that's included in the
I
331 million that she had generated, but like you know what I mean? Like I think that's why, they do it. They're like, we want to do that. We want to hear you. And even the announcers, like, they don't take it that often. Every now and then they'll bring it up. But like I said, she is the biggest star in the world right now.
And to be
You know
fair,
what I
of
mean?
all the games, he had an amazing game, right? Like
Yeah.
I think he was 11 for 11 on targets, right?
Hmm.
And was the
Hmm.
leading receiver for the team, key touchdowns and key
Hmm.
like drive, continuing plays. I'm sorry, you're going to show that guy and the people that are their loved ones on air as they did for almost any
They
megastar.
cut away to Brock Purdy's parents a lot
Right.
in his
Yeah.
game. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, where are the
So
social media complaints about that? Like,
yeah.
they cut away to Jerry Jones when the Cowboys are getting their asses beat, and we love it. So, like,
Right.
I love that. I love that.
it's
Exactly. That's something we could all agree on. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out on the record because it's not something that needed to be on the podcast, but it's something that was frustrating me. Like people will
yeah,
actually block you over pointing out facts about what's going
Yeah.
on. Like it's
But
just
I think most people like think like us. It's just like, it's just the kids that are like 14, 15 making doing, or just I don't know, or just like old school dudes that are just like that are the haters. You know what I mean? Like most people
yeah,
like that actually think for themselves, think like us. And they're like, yeah, it's not that big a deal. You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's
nah.
honestly not that big a deal. I mean, I don't know.
If my
I
daughter
do
loved
think,
Taylor Swift, I'd be happy for her that it's happening. Like, and I saw
yeah,
an interesting meme about like what is like this is not a situation where I've seen it, but like, let's say you're a dad that's like berating like all this from happening, and you're a daughter that's watching the dad have that as the reaction versus celebrating your favorite pop star being on TV. Like, it's just not the right signal to be sending. It's like, we should be supportive of other things. We want to draw in new fan bases. Like, I don't,
Hmm. I'm all for it. I'm all
yeah,
for it.
I
like,
mean,
I
it's the
don't,
same. It's the same situation with wrestling, with like Bad Bunny and
right.
Logan Paul. You want to draw in that different audience to the product. So that's why I'm not that guy and hating on the fact that they're showing Taylor Swift so much in football, because it's the same. It's the same scenario. It's the exact same scenario.
Yeah, or have Snoop Dogg host WrestleMania.
right.
Right? You're gonna do that to get you gotta I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I'm all for love. I'm all like
No one
about
bats
bringing
an
more
eye at
fans.
any of that, right? Just like
No, there's
it's
no
just like
bad.
so,
Yeah.
like it's just so interesting. But we don't have to get into this for because I agree with Davey. I could talk about this for another hour. But I would feel remiss if we didn't talk about it because it's such a huge storyline, and honestly, it's a bigger storyline in some ways, and it's a rematch of a really good Super Bowl from 2020, which is disappointing. And I hope that the narrative changes over the next 2 weeks, and it's not this hyper fixation on it from both the media and the haters because I feel like it
Well,
fuels itself.
I will say from the storyline point of view, the reason I made the point earlier that I thought this had the least storyline potential is because it's two teams that have already won a lot of things already. Like the Niners have won so many championships, the Chiefs have won a bunch of championships, right? They've both had a lot of success. They're proved very good teams, but there's no like story. There's no, there's no story because there's not as much of a story there because you're talking about two known things that have already been in place in the NFL. Whereas, for
Hmm.
example, if it was the Bills in there, you can just think of the storylines of that. Like they can avenge, Norwood from like almost my God, is it almost like 35 years ago now? Damn, that's a long
Hmm.
time, dude. That's crazy. But it's
I
just
always
like
feel
think about
bad for
that.
the Bills. They never seem to
I
be able to
know.
get it.
You can feel that, right? And you can imagine, when they just to kind of bring it to your all's teams, like when the Nationals and the Capitals won their titles, like that's a huge story. Like
Yep.
they'd never won a title, and they've had a lot of near misses. Especially Washington. Like
Well,
I mean,
I
sorry,
mean, especially the Capitals in the sense that
yeah, the Capitals for
four
sure.
out of 4 years out of a 10-year period, arguably the Stanley Cup final was the battle between Pittsburgh and Washington. It was the hardest fought match, and the winner of it went on to win it all. So you know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah,
they were just, if they had won that game any of the 3 previous times, who knows what would have happened?
yeah.
So it's
By the way, this past week marked 32 years since the Washington football team won their last Super Bowl.
Wow.
I was like 7.
I was 9.
Yeah.
Well, I was 8
But
going about to be 9.
Yeah.
Well, no, I was 9 about to be 10. My bad.
Yeah.
I think the Cowboys are like on their 20 or 29 years since their last championship. Think about that for a second,
Yeah, it was
fellas.
back-to-back years, right? That
Yeah.
they won it all. So thanks also to the Buffalo Bills. But anyway, full circle. Anyway,
We're just
yeah,
piling on. I'm sorry, Buffalo fans.
yeah,
We're sorry.
Yeah, that's rough, man.
But anyway, on that note, but thank you guys for being a part of this. I'll ask you guys real quick if there's a place that you think that we should raid out to, and
Oh.
I usually let my guests do it. So I know that Davey, you know a lot of people, and you have any opinions? I know that KR is on. I almost always raid KR, which I'm trying to do again, but I wanted to at least.
I'm gonna pivot to Jesse. Like anyone you can think of off the top of your head. I know.
I mean, I see
Maybe...
Thug Shell's on there. I don't know how
Oh
long it's been
yes,
going on.
let's
go.
do
Let's go.
it.
That's great.
I
Love the
love it.
call.
I've never rated Thug Shells, so I love this call. So
Oh, it's a
she's
good one.
great.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna start the raid call. Sub raid and raid call there if you want to grab one of those. Thank you guys for this great discussion. I'm hoping that we can get a 49ers winning this thing and maybe we can run it back in a couple of weeks. It'd be a fun way to sort
Yeah,
of.
man, absolutely, man. Yeah, like I said, we don't have to wait for years for me to do this again. You know what I mean? Like, you can hit me up if you want to talk. Maybe basketball playoffs.
Yeah, yeah,
That'd
yeah.
be cool.
Do you
I
watch
hope the
Do you
I
watch
hope the
March
Heat make
Madness
it.
at all?
I do. I do. I
Nice.
usually get in the bracket, so I could chop it
Yeah,
up
March
about
Madness
anything.
is coming up not too far away. I know Davey does that too, so we can all
Yeah.
talk a little bit of March
I'm
Madness.
a Dodger and Mariner fan, so we could do baseball.
Yeah,
Boom.
that's true. I usually take my break during baseball season, but yeah, no, that'd be cool. Yeah, March Madness is cool. Also, we can talk this new football league of this joined, spring football league. We'll definitely be covering them with
Yeah.
trying to run it back. We got to the finals last year of the XFL and see what we can do
Mhm.
this year. So.
So
But yeah, everyone grab a raid call. Thank you so much to my guests, Champ, Davey, Jesse. Look forward to doing more of these down the line.
yeah.
And yeah, hope that you guys enjoy the raid. And we'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks for sports. Next week is if you care about scuba diving, and it's going to jump us out. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Thanks a lot, man.
Sayonara.
Peace, y'all.
Cheers.